We know a lot of folks out there maybe holding on to some savings bonds, wondering, well, when's the best time to cash them in and redeem them? Joining us this morning with his take is Reagan White, Associate Advisor at the Welch Group, and he's got 5 pointers for you to consider. Good to see you this morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well. You know, my parents, I know a lot of folks from the older generation, because these bonds have been around for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, and they hold on to them a good while before they mature. But if you hold on to them a short time, there are some penalties to consider, right?
Correct. And so that's the first thing you want to realize with your savings bonds. If you've only had them for 5 years, you really want to hold on to those because there's penalties associated with that. So if you've just recently purchased savings bonds, you definitely want to make sure you're holding on to those for the short term.
You don't want to lose money. You want to make sure they mature. So that's the first thing, the penalties. But I didn't know this actually, but so you get a break if you're using that money for education savings.
Correct. So this is the best deal out there with savings bonds. A lot of people buy them not knowing that they have this tax treatment, but if you or a child is going to use those for education, instead of it being taxed at ordinary income, it'll be completely tax-free. But there's certain tax considerations. You got to make sure you're doing everything correctly, so you want to make sure you're speaking with your tax advisor before pulling the trigger.
Absolutely. Now, some people, they consider using this for income, especially in emergency situations or down the road in retirement. What are some things they need to consider if they're using it for that reason?
Well, there's different considerations to take with these savings bonds. You don't get any interest yearly as you're holding on to the bond, but the year of maturity, or when you redeem those bonds, you get all the money, all the earnings in that 1 year, but you get all the taxes associated with it. So there's certain tax associations and things you want to consider before redeeming that for income. And so, for instance, let's say retirement is coming up and you could use it potentially this year. Well, you'll probably want to wait until that year of retirement where your income drops, and that taxes will be lower for that year. But it's just, you want to make sure you're timing everything correctly, so that's why you'll want to defer it.
All right, so that's very important. Now, what about for attacking debt? What are some advantages, disadvantages there?
Right, so you got to look at all of the interest you're paying on debt. So let's say you have a mortgage and the interest rate is 5% on your mortgage, but the interest you're receiving on the savings bond is only 2%. Well, this is a great opportunity to redeem your savings bonds and use that to pay down debt. That 5 to 2% spread, that's a guaranteed rate of return. And so you just want to look at all of the interest you're paying and the interest you're receiving and allocate the capital in that way.
And I'm sure if it depends on what kind of other investments you have, will determine whether or not you want to go ahead and redeem them, right?
Correct. And so what we do with our clients is it's all looking at what's your goal as an investor, what are your achievements, what are you wanting to do with your capital out there. And so it's just every day you're looking at your portfolio, what are my goals and how can this meet them? And so looking at other risk-free investments out there, the U.S. Treasury is yielding a little bit higher than savings bonds, but it doesn't have the same tax characteristics. You'll have to pay tax on the coupon payments every year on those bonds. And so it all just comes down to what your goals are as an investor and how your portfolio can meet those.
All right, some good information. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Reagan.
Thank you, Mike.
All right.